You might not realize this, but sales is a game of slight advantage, especially if you're selling into a competitive market. When customers are comparing your products and services with another person, really the person who has that slight advantage, the person who's just a little bit better, is the one that is going to win the deal. And as you know, in sales, when you say the wrong words, it might actually cost you the deal. So in this video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you my 7 top words that you must avoid in sales to become a more effective seller. Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Patrick Dang here, and like I was saying before, saying the wrong words in sales may completely cost you the deal. So in this video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you the 7 top words you gotta avoid, and we're also gonna show you how to replace these words with better alternatives so that you can become a more effective seller. Now, before we go ahead and get started, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button if you are excited for this video, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started with showing you the 7 words that you gotta avoid in sales. Now, jumping right into it, the first word that we're gonna cover is problem, okay? So anytime you're in a sales meeting, obviously you want to talk about the customers or the prospects' challenges and problems that they have so that you can show your solution can solve their pains. However, if you use the word problem, sometimes some people see this as something negative, right? It has a negative connotation, like something is wrong. And by using the word problem, sometimes people may feel like they don't want to reveal their problems to a stranger, and they might clam up, and then they may not give you the right information you need in order to give them the best selling experience possible. So instead of using the word problem, which can be problematic, you want to replace that word with an alternative. And what I like to recommend is using the word challenge. So when you use the word challenge, it's pretty much the same thing as saying problem. However, the connotation is completely different. Using the word challenge, it's almost like an obstacle that you guys can overcome together, and suddenly the sales situation might be a lot more fun instead of diving into someone's deep emotional pain. So when you replace the word problem with challenge, people are a lot more open with you. They don't feel like they need to hide anything, and they will tell you their challenges because they feel that you as a seller will help them overcome their challenges, which you will by selling your product or service. All right, so now we're gonna move into the next word that you got to avoid in sales, and the word is buy. Now, the word buy itself can sound really salesy, right? So if a salesperson says, hey, you should buy my product, obviously the prospect or the customer is gonna be like, I don't wanna buy anything you're selling, right? So instead of using the word buy, what you wanna do is you wanna replace it with different phrases such as, would you like to move forward? Would you like to invest in this solution? Or would you like to take advantage of this opportunity? So as you can see here, these phrases pretty much mean the same thing as buy. The customer is interested in your product or service and they're gonna buy it. However, instead of telling someone to buy, you're just kind of saying, hey, would you like to invest in our solution? Would you like to take advantage of this opportunity while it lasts, right? So this connotation is completely different. So instead of pushing someone to buy your product or service, which may make them feel a little hesitant, instead look at whatever you're selling as an investment for this person, and an investment essentially can make someone's life better. Instead of being like all the other salespeople who are trying to get their customers to buy, instead you're trying to get your customers to invest in your solution, and that's gonna be completely different. Your tonality of how you come across in that sales meeting is gonna be so much more smooth. All right, so now we're gonna move into the third word that you gotta avoid in sales. The word is pitch. Now, when I use the word pitch, a lot of you guys watching this might feel like, oh, I don't wanna watch a sales pitch, or I don't wanna hear a pitch, you're just gonna try to sell me something, right? And it has this negative connotation. So instead of using the word pitch, instead what you can do is use the word presentation, demonstration, or if you want to pitch your idea or product or service, let's say verbally or face-to-face without a presentation, you could just say, hey, are you interested in hearing what I do or how I can help you? And the prospect or the customer is gonna say, sure. And then it opens the opportunity for you to actually pitch your product or service. But you don't necessarily have to say, hey, do you mind if I pitch you? Because people don't wanna hear a pitch. But if you say, hey, would you like to move forward to a demonstration, a presentation? Would you like to hear how I might be able to help you? And when you phrase it in this way, people are a lot more likely to listen to whatever it is that you say. In the end of the day, you're still essentially pitching your product or service. However, how you go about it and how you enter that pitch, right? The framing before you even come into the actual pitch makes a huge difference in how people perceive you and how people perceive whatever it is that you are selling. All right, moving into word number 4, and the word is honestly, or it could be a phrase, which is to be honest, right? Someone says, hey, to be honest with you, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's the problem with using the word honestly or to be honest. It implies that everything that you have said throughout the entire sales meeting is essentially not honest, and by using this phrasing, you're saying, okay, now I'm gonna tell you the truth. The reason why you don't wanna do this is because by using the word honest or honestly or to be honest, you're basically saying that you're lying to the prospect and that they should trust you now. But pretty much when you're asking someone to trust you in that way, they're not gonna trust you. Anytime you use this type of phrasing, what's gonna happen is the prospect has their guard up. They're gonna feel like everything you say may or may not be true, and they're not sure what's truth and what's not. So pretty much what you wanna do is just completely avoid the word honestly, honest, or to be honest, so you never run into a situation where the prospect feels that what you said beforehand wasn't the truth. All right, next word that we are gonna cover, and that is going to be contract. Now, the word contract itself, it feels very restricting or limiting, or like if someone signs a piece of paper and maybe they didn't read everything, that they're gonna sign their soul away. So there's a lot of negative connotations to the word contract. And for a lot of business out there, you have to sign a contract in order to move forward with a deal, especially if it's a large deal size, right? So instead of using the word contract, what you can do instead is replace that word with agreement, right? So if I said, hey, would you like to move forward with the agreement this week, right? That sounds a lot more flexible and open and welcoming compared to the word contract. If I said, hey, do you want to sign the contract this week? They're gonna be like, let's just push it off to next week, right? But if it's using the word agreement, it's a lot more friendly, it's a lot more open, and people are a lot more receptive to it and receptive to you because they don't feel like you're trying to lock them in anything. And again, at the end of the day, these things are actually all the same, right? A contract is a contract, it's a piece of paper that both people agree on. However, how you say the words, which words you are using will make a difference in how people will perceive you. And if you are making people feel comfortable and they like you and they trust you, you're a lot more likely to close the deal compared to if you use all these hard words like contract. Now we're gonna move into the next phrase, and that is trust me. And using the word trust me is very similar to using honestly or to be honest. So when someone says trust me, it's kind of weird because someone who's trustworthy shouldn't tell other people to trust them. Their actions and what they do should create the feeling of trust, right? But whenever someone uses the word trust me or hey, to be honest, you should do XYZ, it's kind of strange because typically that's when people keep their guard up, because people who ask another person to trust them typically aren't very trustworthy, and that's the subconscious thing that we have going on in our minds. So what you want to do is just completely avoid the word trust me. Instead, if you want to build trust with your prospect or with your customers, instead of telling them to trust you, instead just do the right thing and really try to help them out as much as possible instead of trying to fill your own pockets. And naturally, you're gonna build rapport, you're gonna build trust, and you don't have to say anything about having the other person trust you if they don't believe you. If they don't believe you, that's something that you did, something that you said, and you have to fix your attitude. However, just avoid the word and phrasing trust me, and you're gonna just, save yourself from a lot of headaches. Okay, so now the final word that we are gonna cover for this video is going to be objections. The reason why you don't wanna use the word objection is because it kind of invites a lot of negative connotations to why someone shouldn't buy your product or service. And I'll give you an example. If I was a salesperson and I went to another person trying to sell them something, and at the end of the meeting, I say, hey, do you have any objections for me? Then automatically what happens is for that person, they're gonna think of, okay, let me think of all the reasons for why I shouldn't buy and just like throw it at you, right? And although you want to understand the reason for why someone doesn't buy so you can kind of clear them, you don't wanna position it as objections because it creates like this conflict. They're thinking of all the reasons for why they shouldn't buy. Instead of using the word objection, which essentially has a negative connotation, what you want to do is you want to replace that word with different types of phrasing. For example, what you can say is there anything else you need to see before moving forward? Or is there anything else that may stop you from moving forward with the deal? So pretty much this is just a phrase that allows the person to bring up all their objections. However, you don't have to use the word objection because again, that has a negative connotation and it puts the person in the wrong mindset, and especially it puts them in defense mode versus buying mode. So instead, you want to say things like, hey, is there anything else you need to see before moving forward with your investment? And If they have objections, they'll tell it to you, but it's a lot more of an open dialogue where they can tell you any of their hesitations or concerns. And then as a salesperson, you can kind of handle those objections and making the prospect feel confident in their buying decision. So just completely avoid the word objection and replace it with different types of phrasing. All right, so those are gonna be the 7 words that you gotta avoid in sales. So if you have the habit of using these words, make sure you just replace them with some of the phrasing and words that I shared in this video. Or if you wanna put in your own flavor and your own style, use your words that are similar that fit into your selling situation. And in the comments, I'm curious, which word do you find yourself saying all the time, and how are you going to replace that, or what are you gonna replace it with? Put it in the comments. I'm really curious to hear your feedback and hear, what you're learning out of these videos. So if you made it to the end of this video, make sure you give this video a like because it's a brand new channel, and we're dropping new sales videos every week, and every like does help these videos reach new audiences. So if you're getting any type of value, make sure you like, and if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe because I am dropping new videos every single week. And lastly, hit the notification bell if you want to get notifications. So with that said, thank you for watching. I appreciate all your support. Hope you guys get a lot of value out of these videos, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one.